Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Data Analysis with Dr. Veronica. In this video, we will look at the MIRR function in Microsoft Excel. In this video, we will see what is the MIRR function. We will look at the limitations of the IRR, and we will see how to use the MIRR function in Excel. MIRR is basically the modified internal rate of return. So we have an internal rate of return and we have the modified internal rate of return. And the internal rate of return is the discount rate that will make the net present value to be equal to 0. There are some limitations of the IRR function. And just so you know, the MIRR function is available for Office 365 users, also users of Excel 2019, 2016, 2013, 2010, and 2007. You will see the MIRR function in your Excel. The internal rate of return, which is the IRR, and the MIRR are both financial metrics that is used to estimate the profitability of a project. So if you want to determine the profitability of a project over a certain period of expected cash flows, you can use the IRR or the MIRR functions. But the MIRR function came up because of some limitations of the IRR, and we are going to see what they are. The number one limitation of the IRR function is that it is not always the best measure of profitability when you have negative cash flows. The IRR function assumes that all the cash flows from the investment is always going to be positive over the duration of the inflows that are coming in. And we know that in real life, this is not always the case. The second assumption that the IRR has, which is a limitation, is that it assumes that interim cash flows are reinvested at the IRR rate. So let us assume that somebody wants to open a biscuit production factory, and you're projecting that in year 0 is the year that you do the investment. In year 1, you should have produced some biscuits for sale, and then you are projecting to get some inflows. In year 2, you are projecting to get some inflows as well. But we know that the inflows are normally reinvested into the business for increased profitability. So the IRR assumes that the cash flows that come in are reinvested back into the business at the same IRR rate. But in real life, this is not always the case. The reinvestment rate might be lower than the finance rate. And we will see this in an example. So here we can see the example of the IRR. We can see an example showing cash flows. And this investor is taking a loan for this investment. And the rate of the loan is 11%. And in this case, it is assumed that the rate of reinvesting the inflows into the business is at 9%. The year 1 is the initial year of investment, which is always an outflow. And then we have 5 years of expected inflows. So this is why the year 1 is a negative. But in this example, in the second year of expected inflows, we can see a negative inflow instead of a positive one. Let us apply the MIRR function to this example, as well as the IRR function, and see if we will get the same answer. Just so you know, the link to this practice file is downloadable, and the link to this practice file is in the description box. Please open the description box and find the link to download the file, because the best way to understand Microsoft Excel is actually to do it. So you can only learn Excel by doing it. So please do well to download the practice file so that you can practice alongside. So here you put the equal to sign and you type MIRR, you open the brackets. We can see 3 arguments. The first argument is values. And for the first argument, which is values, is to select the entire array of cash flows. And you put the comma separator. The next argument is the finance rate, which is the cost of capital, which is already provided here for us. You put the comma separator, and the next argument is the reinvest rate. The reinvest rate is the rate at which the inflows are reinvested back into the business. And then we close the bracket and press the enter button on the keyboard. This is what we have. So the MIRR for this investment is 20%. We will explain also what this means. Let's look for the IRR and see whether we will get the same result. So you type the equal to sign IRR, you open the bracket, you select the entire values. The first argument is the values, which is the values for the cash flows. You put the comma separator, and the next argument is guess. Guess is saying that you can guess any rate of return, and Excel will do the iteration to see what the best internal rate of return is. So in this case, I am going to guess 10%, and I close the bracket, and this is what I have. So for this example, the IRR is 30% and the MIRR is 20%. Please, if this is your first time of visiting my YouTube channel, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel and see and check out other videos. This channel is dedicated to explaining data analysis tools like Microsoft Excel in very basic and easy to understand ways so that you understand how to apply Microsoft Excel to your everyday task. And also like this video and drop a comment for me in the comment section. So we can see in this example that the MIRR is lower than the IRR, and it can be very risky to depend on the IRR if, for example, the MIRR is lower than the cost of capital. So what does this mean? What does 20% and 30% mean for the investor, and how would he make his decision? The decision criteria for the MIRR is that if the MIRR is greater than the cost of capital, then you should consider the project. If the MIRR, on the other hand, is less than the cost of capital, do not consider the project. If the MIRR is less than the cost of capital, do not consider the project. In our example, this is the cost of capital, and this is very logical because every investor wants value for their investment. So if the rate of return of the investment will be less than the cost of capital, which is the cost of getting the funds for the business, then you should not consider that kind of investment. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in another video.